This is the WLN detector, and apparently I'm having audio issues again. I don't usually review the videos, but luckily this time I did, and it was all just static. So I'm forced to do this voiceover because apparently my phone has decided to take a crap. So I'm looking for a new setup. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know, I guess. You can find me on Discord. But unfortunately, it's probably just going to be a new phone because either way, I'm going to have to get a camera and a microphone or just get a new phone, and I'm not tech savvy at all. Hopefully, I can figure out how to do this voiceover on the video. So probably just going to have to bite the bullet and get a new phone. I'm probably due for a new one anyway. It's been a while since I got one. So anyway, here I am. These levers are very tapered. So you have to apply, you got to pull on that tensioner to compress the lever pack to apply outward tension while still applying rotational tension. So hand gets fatigued very quickly doing that. So don't really have much else to say through the pick, just going through the levers, trying not to overset 4 because it's no lift, and it's very easy to trip that detector lever. So after I get this open and gut it, I will show that detector lever and explain how it works, so you can sit through the static or just fast forward to the open if you want to stick around for that explanation of the detector lever. All right, so that's open. And I'm not going to be able to get the pick and tensioner out of there. It's got my big hand in the way. Come on, lock it back up. Yeah, it's open. It works. Lock it back up. So this took a couple attempts to get this thing open. I kept oversetting it. That detector lever is very effective. Here's the pick and the wire. You got to have that little offset in the wire to get around the curtain, which I will also show here in a minute. I put this thing off for a long time trying to pick it. I've had this locked for a while, but just finally decided to make a pick and tensioner and attempt to get this open. So this is essentially the same thing as the tan detector. I think the tan detector was earlier, like in the 50s. I believe this lock is dated 1967. I show the back of the lock later on in the video, but the internals essentially are the same lock. It's really kind of weird going back and watching this video. I've never really gone back and watched any of my videos. So some of that first lever came out because that faceplate's really the only thing holding it all together. All right, come on, get it in there. So that's the assembled lock. And there is the curtain. So when that's rotated, tension it, there's not a lot of room in there to work with. So that's why you got to put the offset in that wire. And then you can see that prong on top of the lever pack. That's connected to the detector lever in the back. And the notches in those levers correspond to the bitting, so the higher the lift, the deeper that notch is going to be. And if you overset, it lifts that prong, and then it drops that bar right there, and it locks that detector lever up, and the detector lever catches the nub there on the bolt and does not allow the bolt to retract. So if you overlift any of those levers, it lifts that prong on the detector lever, drops the locking bar, and prevents the bolt from retracting. And to reset it, you have to put the key in and turn it counterclockwise, and it'll push the bolt out. It's not working here because the lever pack's not compressed because the cover's not on it, but if you turn that key counterclockwise, it will reset that detector lever, which I'm just going to have to do here with a screwdriver. I don't really have to. I could just start gutting it, but for whatever reason I wanted to reset that. So now it's reset. So there's not a lot of margin for error to overset those levers. If you overset them just a little bit at all, it will trip that detector. So there's, like I said, the notches for that prong on the detector lever correspond to the bitting. So if you notice on that one, the slot for the bolt is kind of in the middle of that T-shaped piece. Same with that one. 1 and 2 are the same lift heights, so the notch is the same on them. 3 is a lower lift right here, so that notch cut out at the top of the lever is not as deep, and you can see the long part of that T is higher up because it's not as high of a lift. Lever 4 was a no lift, and it was, let's see, so there's no notch at all on the top of that one. So yeah, it was hard to get past that lever without tapping it and oversetting it and tripping that detector. So no lifts don't really make this lock any easier. And 5 was a max lift. You can see how deep that notch is there in the top. And that cutout in the lever looks more like an L and not a T. And then here's the detector lever. That you don't need to lift. You do not want to lift it. That will go up and set when the other levers are set. See, I mean, it does have to be pushed up a little bit, but it goes up when you set the other levers. And that notch on the right, down the far right, where my tweezers just were, is what catches that locking bar and prevents the prevents that lever from sliding, and then the notch on the cutout in the lever is what hits the bar on the bolt. It doesn't allow the bolt to retract. I don't know, hopefully that makes sense. Pretty hard to explain while watching this video. It was easier to explain it while I was doing it. So that little nub right there is what that locking bar pivots on and what holds it in place. And then that long spring is the spring for it, obviously, at the bottom of my tray. Yep, there's the key, and that's about it. So that detector is very effective. Oh, there's the back of it. It's a 1967. That other number, I guess, is a patent number, maybe. And then a serial number at the top. So yeah, that detector lever is very effective in this lock. It's a tricky lock to pick. It took a couple attempts. But yeah, so it's time to get my audio fixed. Thanks for watching. All right, so I just want to take a minute and do a little bit better job explaining this detector lever and showing its function. So I took everything out except for the detector lever. So you get the detector lever here. I just call this the locking bar. Not sure the technical term, but this detector lever has this prong on it, which the levers have cutouts in them to interact with this prong, and the cutouts line up with the bittings of each lever. But anyway, when if you overset this detector lever, this locking bar will drop and lock the detector lever in place. I'll go ahead and do that, show what it looks like. So if you overset any lever, it will push on that prong and overset the detector lever. That locking bar will drop and it catches on this notch, this cutout right here on the detector lever, and prevents the lever from falling, so it will not drop. And then this bar on the bolt catches just enough right here. This lever is just a bit too high and prevents this bolt from retracting. So the lock will not open and the detector lever is stuck. So the way that you fix it is you got to put the key in and turn it all the way counterclockwise. It will catch on this notch right here on the bolt, and you turn the key and it pushes that bolt out, and then there's a ramp on the bolt that pushes this locking bar back up and allows that detector lever to fall. So hopefully that was a little bit better explanation. It's a very simple yet highly effective mechanism.